Welcome, fellow Tarnished, to the world of Elden Ring, the board game. My name is Jules Gill, and I'm here in the heart of Steamforged HQ to showcase to you today two brand new core sets for the Elden Ring board game: Dominion of Rot and Machinations of the Witch. Now, for those of you who have already played the stellar Elden Ring board game, you might think you've seen all and done all within this title, but these new core sets expand things out with new mechanics, new enemies, and of course, new ways to die. Now, both core sets are playable either standalone, or they can be integrated into one huge campaign with every other set. And each of them brings their own unique gameplay elements to the tabletop, all built on the same engine. But before you can start killing your way to the top, you're going to need to find out where the baddies are, and that takes the form of the exploration tiles that you find in each core set, both of which are different. For example, in Machinations of the Witch, you'll be discovering lakeside towns, delving underwater, and building a map of a royal academy. However, in Dominion of Rot, you'll be travelling to the scarlet rot-infested lands of Caelid, and each of the exploration tiles here has a counterpart that is covered in scarlet rot. This, believe it or not, is very bad. So you'll need to cleanse these areas as best you can, otherwise you'll be dealing with some significant drawbacks when you hit the stage. You'll have 3 actions per turn to interact with the various locations on the tiles. You'll be able to draw from your attribute deck, which is something that each player will build for their own bespoke Tarnished, to overcome various hardships and challenges. You can meet NPCs, undertake various quests, and make campaign-affecting decisions. And you've got to do all of this before the time deck runs out, because then it's time to battle. And while out exploring the lakes of Liurnia, you'll be discovering and then taking down wandering mausoleums that are stuffed to the gills with loot. Plus, you'll be avoiding jet streams that are fired out by crayfish and crabs, and you'll be doing all of this so that you can build a map to assault the academy. But unfortunately, that is filled with a ton of magical traps. So let's talk combat. Now, much like Realm of the Grafted King, it will take place on this beautiful style board here. And there will be 3 different ways to attack your enemies, either going through a gauntlet, which takes the form of waves of regular enemies that get significantly stronger as time goes on, classic boss battles, and then of course dungeon battles, which is a gauntlet and a boss mixed together. Combat takes place on battlefield grids, and you get a unique one for each combat. These are broken down into lanes that represent physical space and rows that represent different stances. There's a large variety of different row effects on different grids that offer different and unique strategic options throughout your campaign. Now, during your turn, you'll get 3 actions: to move, drink your flasks, and play your cards. The cards in your hand, drawn from your combat deck, are custom built from your equipped weapons, and they are critical to combat. You'll have to carefully manage the cards in your hand, choose when to defend and when to attack, and exploit every opportunity that presents itself. Now, if I get hit by an enemy in the front row over here that says Rot, I will unfortunately be getting one of these, a Scarlet Rot token. Now, one on its own isn't great, but it isn't the end of the world. Unfortunately though, if you get 2, this basically pops the status effect and a tracker moves up here. Now this is a point of escalation that can turn into a death spiral, because as it moves up, every single enemy with certain attacks will be doing more and more damage until finally this Scarlet Rot meter fills up, and at the end of every attack that you take where you get another 2 Scarlet Rot, you'll be taking an extra 2 damage. But don't worry though, you can use the different rows in order to move back here to expunge some of these horrible toxins from your body, and even go back further, and that will allow you to get rid of one of these. This is a Scarlet Rot attribute card, and every single time that you take damage from Scarlet Rot, you will gain one of these cards that will go into your personal attribute deck. Now, you might look at it and think to yourself, what makes this so deadly and unique? Well, all of the symbols on these attribute cards are randomized for a start, meaning that you could draw one that has no impact on your character whatsoever. But also, these stay with you forever. They carry with you outside of combat and could affect your campaign in the long run. And every time that you draw and discard them, you will take damage equal to the amount of symbols on that card. I don't need to tell you why that is a terrible, terrible, terrifying thing. So let's just say that dying of infectious diseases isn't your cup of tea. Well, don't worry, because we can move over to Machinations of the Witch, where you'll find ways to die from magic spells instead. Hooray! Now the big mechanic for Machinations of the Witch is spells, and these take the form of separate cards that the boss, in this case the Red Wolf of Radagon, will be trying to cast at our party, the Astrologer and the Samurai over here. Now as you can see from my hand here, this blue card is the spell that's trying to be cast, and as it says on the top, it has to follow a specific pattern order in order to cast its top value, or if it's not in that order, it will cast the bottom value, which is weaker, which is definitely what we want. So this is all about manipulating the marching order of the initiative deck that gets drawn at the beginning of every turn to make sure that this goes out of sequence and that you can survive by the skin of your teeth. Now as you can see here, this battle grid is very different from the one shown off in Dominion of Rot. There's extra rows, for example, which we're going to make great use of to try and mitigate some of the damage incoming to us via spells. You see, if my Astrologer moves back onto the back row here, I'll benefit from Stand Fast 1 and Magic Resistance 2. Now players familiar with Realm of the Grafted King will know what Stand Firm means. It's a bonus for your defenses, but a new addition is Magic Resistance, which means that if this spell unfortunately goes off and would be dealing a whopping 11 damage, if I'm standing here, that is mitigated by 2. So it pays to move back if you know that a spell is going to go off, because trust me, that is a lot of damage to take. Therefore, in Machinations of the Witch, it's all about timing and trying to disrupt your enemy from casting their spells. For example, we could pull the Great Wolf forward here, and that puts them into the Disrupt row, meaning that we can then manipulate the order and break their spell, making it much worse. Plus, characters like the Astrologer have abilities within their deck to help manipulate that turn order even more. Now I know what you're thinking, Jules, when can I get my hands on these brand new core sets? Well, luckily for you, I'm about to tell you, so just chill out, all right? Just calm down a minute, because on the 28th of August, you'll be able to go to Gamefound and support both of these core sets, Dominion of Rot and Machinations of the Witch. Hope that you enjoy, my friend, and good luck, because you're bloody well going to need it. Bye!